Hi everyone, I'm Sarah of Rich Textures Crochet and welcome. Today we are going to learn how to make the Bumpy Scrubby. The Bumpy Scrubby is my own original design and it's kind of a fun scrubby because of these little beads and pops of color in it. So this pattern, I do it in a solid color scrubby yarn. But if you would like, you can also use the variegated. It would give you a variety of colored bumps and add a little bit more fun to your scrubby. You can see that it has this very textured scrubby front, and on the back it's just a simple solid cotton. So this will be a great scrubby for everyday cleaning around the house, for dishes, countertops, tables, even in the bath. I think it would make kind of just a nice addition if you did it in your own personal favorite colors. So this is the Bumpy Scrubby. For this pattern, you are going to need about 50 yards of your favorite crochet worsted weight cotton. Today I will be using a Bernat Handicrafter cotton in white. You will need a small amount of RedHeart Scrubby yarn, and that's this one right here. So about 12 yards of RedHeart Scrubby. You will need a 5mm crochet hook, and then of course a pair of scissors and a tapestry needle for finishing off and weaving in your ends. You will also need a copy of the crochet pattern, which can be found for free on my blog at www.richtexturescrochet.com. So now that we have all of our materials together, we will get started. We are going to start by making this bumpy scrubby side. So you will take your one strand at this time of cotton yarn, and you'll begin by making your slip knot and chaining 18. Now for this tutorial, I'm going to assume that you already have a basic understanding of crochet, that you know how to do things like slip knots and chain stitches and single crochets. There is a little bit of color work in this pattern, so I will show you how I like to change colors. And there's also a stitch called the bead stitch. I will also demonstrate that for you today as well. So let's begin by chaining 18. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So once you have your chain of 18, you are going to be asked to single crochet in the second chain from hook, 1, 2, and then in each chain across for a total of 17 single crochets. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17 single crochets. Now we are going to chain 1 and turn, and in this row we are going to begin adding our scrubby yarn. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to single crochet in the first 2 stitches. The chained one at the beginning of your row does not count as a stitch. So you'll work your first single crochet in that first stitch, and then your second single crochet in the next. However, for this single crochet, because in our pattern it tells us we are going to work our next bead stitch which is done in the Scrubby yarn in the next stitch, we are not going to complete that second single crochet with our cotton. Instead, we're going to drop our cotton and we're going to pick up our Scrubby, and we are going to simply complete that stitch with the Scrubby yarn, just like that. And what that does is it sets us up to do our next bead stitch with the Scrubby. Okay, now as I am working with the yarn that I'm not using, I like to simply crochet over it. Some people like to kind of carry it in back. I like to crochet right over it. It keeps it nice and tucked in. The tricky part will be not leaving the non-working yarn, so that will be this while we're doing our bead, not leaving it too slack because you don't want it loose in the back, and also not pulling it too tight so that your work bunches. Okay, so we're going to work one bead stitch with our Scrubby. To work the bead stitch, what we are going to do is we're going to yarn over, we're going to insert our hook in the next stitch, and you can see I'm working right over top of those two strands, and we're going to draw up a loop. And we are going to do that for a total of 4 times. So we've done it once, yarn over, insert your hook, a second time, draw up a loop, there's twice, third time, yarn over, insert your hook, and draw up your loop, it's 3 times, and the fourth time, yarn over, insert your hook, and draw up a loop. So now you should have 9 loops on your hook. Now because the next stitch again is not going to be done with the Scrubby, but it will be done with our crochet cotton, we're going to drop our Scrubby, and I'm going to pull it in front here because this will be the back of my work, the wrong side of my work. Drop the Scrubby, and I'm going to yarn over and pull the cotton through all the loops on my hook to complete the bead stitch. Okay, then I'm going to work 3 single crochets. So 1, 2, and then the third. But again, because a bead stitch follows, I'm going to drop my cotton, get that little tail out of the way. I'm going to pick up my Scrubby, yarn over, and complete the stitch. Then I will work my bead stitch using the Scrubby. So yarn over, insert your hook, and draw up a loop. You're going to do that 4 times. So that was 1, and 2, 3, and 4. So again, you'll have 9 loops on your hook, and then I want to switch to my cotton yarn. I'm going to bring that to the back of my work, pick up my cotton, yarn over, and pull through all the loops on your hook. So you can see you're kind of switching back and forth between your cotton and your Scrubby. So again, we're going to start the pattern again. We're going to work 3 single crochets, 1, 2, and then the third, we won't complete the stitch. Instead, we'll drop our cotton, pick up our Scrubby, and then complete. And then work 1 bead stitch. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We will complete our bead stitch with our cotton yarn, pulling through all loops on the hook. And then we will work 3 more single crochets. There's 1, and I can find the top of my stitch. There's 2, and 3. Again, we have 1 more bead stitch left. I'm going to drop my cotton, pick up my scrubby, complete the stitch, and work my bead stitch. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to drop my scrubby, pick up the cotton, and complete my bead stitch. And then I'm going to work my final 2 single crochets at the end of the row. There you have it. So that's the back. And if I turn it over to the front, you can see those little pops of color coming through on my bead stitches. Now I'm going to work a simple return row, and the return row will just be of single crochets because I want all of my work to come through on the same side. So I'm going to return back to where I started. I'm going to single crochet in the first stitch, and then I'm going to single crochet in each single crochet and bead stitch all the way across. So in the end I will have 17 single crochets. Now the other thing I'm going to do, because I want this scrubby yarn to come back to the beginning with me, I am going to work over top of that scrubby yarn and pull it along behind my work. So I will show that to you. So I'm going to work another single crochet in the second single crochet, and then when I come to my bead stitch, which is where I left my scrubby yarn, I'm going to insert my hook in the top of the bead stitch, and I'm just going to lay that scrubby yarn over top so you can kind of see it. Just laying the scrubby yarn over top, and I'm going to complete my single crochet, and I'm going to do that all the way across with that scrubby yarn. I'm just going to lay it on top and crochet over top of it all the way back, and this will bring our scrubby back to the beginning. Now because we will be making 2 sides and crocheting them together, it will hide any yarn ends that you may leave in behind. So if you found it easier not to single crochet over top of your non-working scrubby yarn, then you can simply pull it in back behind. I just like to do it this way to kind of keep it neat and tidy. So I'm working over top of that scrubby yarn, just kind of pulling it back with me all the way. And then I'm just going to drop it here near the beginning. And I'm going to finish my row of single crochets. And that is row 3. Now to row 4, we're going to do another row. Here I'll show you. You can see the pop of color there really well now. So now row 4 is another scrubby bumpy side. So we're going to turn and chain 1, and then we are going to start by single crocheting in the first 4 stitches. So 1, 2, and 3, and 4. But the next one is a bumpy with the scrubby yarn, a bump with the scrubby yarn bead stitch. So we're going to drop our cotton, pick up our scrubby, and complete the stitch. Now by starting with 4 single crochet here in this row instead of 2, it means that our beads are going to be staggered a little bit in our washcloth. So I've picked up my scrubby yarn. I'm now going to make a bead stitch, yarn over, insert the hook in the next stitch. I'm going to do that 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to drop my scrubby in behind. I'm going to pick up my cotton, complete that bead stitch, and then continue on my way. I will work 3 single crochets. 1, 2, and 3, but my next stitch is a bead stitch, so I'm going to drop my cotton, pick up my scrubby, and complete my 3rd single crochet. Then I will work 1 bead stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, drop my scrubby, pick up my cotton, and complete the bead stitch. Work 3 single crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Drop my cotton, pick up my scrubby, complete the stitch, and work 1 bead stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Drop my scrubby, pick up my cotton, complete the bead stitch. Then I'm going to work 4 single crochets to bring me back to the beginning. And that is row 4. So I'll turn it over there, that's the back, and I'll turn it over to the front and show you your little pops of colors. So now once again we are going to work 1 more return row. At the same time we're going to hold on to this scrubby cotton, we're going to work over top of it to bring it back to the beginning, and we're going to work 1 single crochet in each single crochet and bead stitch all the way across. I'm going to make sure I'm working over top of that scrubby to kind of carry it along with me. And this row also just brings out that color all the more. And there you go. So that is your row 5. Now for rows 6 through to 14, you are simply going to repeat rows 4 and 3. So those are, you're going to repeat this one and a single crochet row. Okay, and so you're just going to repeat those rows all the way until you have a total of 14 rows, and then you're going to single crochet, end with a row of single crochet up at the top, and then you will fasten off. So why don't you pause the video here, work on that, and when you've finished, meet me back and we'll go over the next steps. Okay, so welcome back. So now once you've reached the end of row 15, you should have a piece of fabric that looks like this. Now I've cheated a little bit and I am showing you another one that I had finished earlier. So you will have something that looks like this with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows of your scrubby bumps over top of your crochet cotton. Now once you've finished that, you're going to fasten off and you're going to set that aside for the time being. Now we are going to work on the back side of our Bumpy Scrubby. Now this side is worked completely in your cotton yarn, and it's basically row upon row of single crochets. So we're going to begin by making our slip knot, and you're going to chain 18. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So you'll have a chain of 18, and then you're going to single crochet in the second chain from hook. So single crochet, and then single crochet in each chain across. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. So you'll have a total of 17 single crochets. Now all you're going to do simply is turn and chain 1. Remember that the chain 1 does not count as a single crochet, so you're going to start by crocheting in this first stitch. So 1, and you're going to single crochet all the way across. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and remember our last one right here, 17. And that's it. So what you're going to do is you're going to repeat that single crochet row so that you have a total of 17 rows on the back side of your scrubby. So simply chain 1, single crochet across, turn, chain 1, single crochet across for a total of 17 rows. Pause the video, work on that, and meet me back here and we'll go over the next steps. Okay, welcome back everyone. So by now you should have worked 17 rows of single crochets, and you should have a piece of fabric that now looks sort of like this, and you also have your bumpy side that looks like this. Now what we are going to do is we are going to join these two pieces together. So you're going to hold your wrong sides together just like this, and you can either fasten off and then rejoin your yarn in the corner, or sometimes what I like to do is I like to just leave it attached, and I'm going to chain 1 and I'm just going to turn my work. So my bumpy side, which is my front side, should be facing. And what you're going to do is you're simply going to work through both thicknesses of your fabrics, and you're going to single crochet in each stitch and in each row all the way around. You'll work your single crochets evenly, and then once you get to each corner you will work 3 single crochets. So right now you're just going to work 1 single crochet in each stitch across the top. If you did fasten off, you fastened off your yarn and you joined your yarn with a slip stitch in any corner that you choose. It doesn't really matter which corner you start in. And so now you're working through both thicknesses all the way around. And just make sure as you're working that you're catching all of your loops. You want your pieces to match up evenly. So once you come to that corner stitch, you're going to work 1 and then 2 and then 3 single crochets in the corner. And what that does is it just brings you around nicely so that we can work down the side of our work. Now what we're going to do is simply work 1 single crochet in each row all the way down along the side. Now there will be some discrepancy between the front and the back because the front only has 15 rows and the back has 17 rows. And the reason for that is the bumps with the Scrubby yarn kind of make the front side a little bit longer than the back side of just single crochet, so you needed to add the extra 2 rows on the Simply Cotton side. But that's okay, just make sure that your pieces are laying flat together and that they're staying even, you're not getting ahead of yourself, and then just poke your stitch hook through and make sure your stitches are even. Okay, so I'm coming back up around here again to my second corner, and I'm going to again work 3 single crochets in that corner. 1, 2, and 3. And that brings me around so that I'm working along now on the other side. Continue working through both thicknesses, through each stitch. That one's being a little tough. There we go. Just like this, all the way around. And as I am coming up to my third corner, again, I'm going to, working through both thicknesses, work 3 single crochets into the corner stitch. And again, that brings me around and to work up my final side. Almost there. Now as I'm approaching this final corner, because I've already worked my first single crochet in this corner, when I come to it, I'm simply going to work 1 and 2 single crochets in that last corner, and then I'm going to join in the first single crochet with a slip stitch. And you can either fasten off there, or I like to just kind of slip stitch a few stitches in just to kind of keep my corner nice and smooth, and then I fasten off my yarn. And there you have it. That is your Bumpy Scrubby. You just have to go back and weave in your ends. So thank you very much for joining me on this crochet tutorial. Be sure to follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and also don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, where I will continue to bring you some great crochet pattern tutorials and stitch tutorials. Thanks for watching. Bye.